Welcome to my 3113 video, and I do apologize for the lighting problems, and there's could be potential problems again above me in particular, so I will have to look at that. But let's start this number symbolism video by reminding that as far as verses in order, the verses that equal such, there could be more out there, but I got 3 from the Bible, verse 3113 in Quran, and of course chapter and verse 3113. But let's first go into some general meanings that have nothing to do with gematria, and then we'll get back into gematria. Itness of the odd one out. Light beings and fire beings communicate, and you can with them too. Now, I'm not, of course, advocating that you have to summon up the angel and the demons and all that sort of stuff. What's present physically, just, you can communicate with that. And by physically, I'm not saying that there's not spiritual existence, like your soul being spiritual existence, but positive outlooks sometimes require achievement. A positive outlook is required to achieve. That's a better way to phrase that, isn't it? Live for a purpose instead of wealth. Light-hearted badness. Workaholism. Joy to come. Interesting, found a reference to a hotline. But I'm not paying for hotlines, and it's, phone this number for joy, It was an interesting thing, better than I expected. Wasn't going to give them my money for that, but more than complete in lunar cycles. The lunar month is a little more than 29 and a half days, but you got 13 months in terms of, you see the moon in a zodiac sign versus you see the moon in the zodiac sign. So that happens a little bit over 20, that happens between 27 and 28 days. So for 28 days times 13, you end up with more than that in a solar year. So I took a series of Greek words that all had the same number value, and I rendered these 11 words. Well, I arranged them to make more meaning, but it didn't come out as coherently as the Aramea. Raba'am, Apek, Rithan, Detron, Parhothan, Kenhas, Genesthe, Blepamena, Anaghas, Epikrantha, Cleishi, Legamenoi. So, Rehoboam, answer the tree. Pass, the vanity being. See necessity. Make shut, the saying. See, that doesn't make much sense. But the following one does. Wabakana, Azru, Zakrun, Azur, Wabra. wal zimmer wa uk anum yagar wal zikr bamram nurgle. So we have Wakana is and cleave. Osru helping. Zakrun, the memorial of Azur. Wabrah and Beriah. Walzimmer and praising. Wa Anum and the cherubims. Anum, the cherubims. That's you would never expect it to be spelled anything like that. Well, maybe something like that, but Yagar, rebuke. Wul Zakruk, and that towards the remembrance. Bamram said of Nergal. So, yeah, just the mentioning, but the praising, well, actually, you can break this up differently past rebuke, but rebuke, and you could rebuke the praising of the cherubim, because praising may be praising in terms of like worship, and that which is said about the black sun entity. So let's look at the scripture of this age for a couple things here. So let's start with 31:13. وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِابْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّ الشِّرْكَ لَظُلْمٌ عَظِيمٌ. So, what is the first advice that the wise man Luqman has to say to his son? Well, it's about the seriousness of attributing in divinity other than God. And, obviously not to do it. Comes first, it's like, don't do this. How serious of a matter this is. So, the 3113th verse, I flipped, and فَمَا كَانَ غَيْرَ بَعِيدٍ فَقَالَ أَحَطتُ بِمَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ وَجِئْتُكَ مِنْ سَبَإٍ بِنَبَإٍ يَقِينٍ. So, the news bringer, the Hudhud, Al-Hudhud comes, and some people say that it's, but the hoopy bird is the general translation. But so the Hudhud comes back, and it's like, well, I've found out some good news, and it's from the land of Sheba, which is, of course, what we call Yemen, Ethiopia, the Abyssinian. I don't remember if it was called Abyssinia at the time of Solomon, but anyways, because obviously Solomon didn't know everything, so that was sort of what was happening there. So the Christians have different versions, but I'm talking about the number value of Jewish versions of these chapters. So 37:15 is, "And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, What seekest thou?" Out of context, I guess that had, sort of a Scottish or Irish or whatever sort of thing that you think that sounds like. So this, but the thing is that ended up in Joseph getting captured. And it'd be really cool if Esther started on chapter 666, because didn't Martin Luther want to kick the book of Esther out of the Bible? Because Esther doesn't really set a good example. It's probably the weakest book in the Bible in terms of its authentic, its authenticity and where it came from. No mention of God. The woman obviously has bad morals and has people killed on suspicion, but and Oster, what later became Easter, same basic formula, but so you see that it may not was something different. But anyways, Esther 3:4. Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew. And where's Isaiah? It's still sort of the day, the fact that presidential pardons exist and judges can the fact that judges can what's the word I'm looking for? Judges can direct sentences, which doesn't seem right. They shouldn't be able to. There should be set sentences. Either person's innocent or guilty. How much time you get, or how favorably something is. It just doesn't seem like it's. Where's the? Okay, I want to see the angle. So Isaiah 37:25. And I have digged and drunk water, and with the sole of my feet have I dried up all the rivers of the besieged places. And even if you're saying that God has hands and feet and all that sort of stuff, obviously, even in Tanakh, the so-called Old Testament, we're going to look at something a little bit different than, that we could refer to him as a human being or anything like that. Okay. So here are some Gematria phrases. Calling someone a liar, but refusing to say why. A torment to those who dwell on earth. Do not fear the wicked, they have no roots. No matter how much you time... people, it's like insanity. Major insanity actually has a higher incident of intelligence because they do have roots. They've just kind of messed it up in places. Let's not pretend that evil and ignorance is not... that there's nothing to be based on. There's twist on things, but it's still on things. And definitely the wicked have roots, bloody roots. No, I didn't do that right, but 7,600 days. World rapture at the 49th year. And when I reach the age of 49 or my 49th year, whichever one I choose to do that with, 1,225 is you add up all those numbers. Oh, that sounds about right. I'll reconfirm later. There are certain numbers that I've past that I could possibly do videos for again, and some of them would be so many videos that might have to be specified what they are. But okay, we have holy anti-gravity Christ vision. Now, Christos, let's look at its cultural context of Christ being either something set out as sacred by putting oil on it, or somebody operating as the high priest of the land. And yes, my channel, because I am, my channel I operate as a digital temple, so somehow I'm the high priest. But honestly, any day, honestly, somebody could show up and they'll be the one leading the ritual. So they would be the high priest, but or someone could correct me on my channel and I will have to go back, and that's about the only time I've ever going to edit is that, I said something wrong and I don't want to be out there anymore. Witch, cast away this upon me. People hiring witches is becoming more and more common, but don't think that if you hire a witch, that their involvement with the demons is somehow not as much of your thing. You've opened the door, but they're the ones who have the skill with their spirituality, so they're not going to tend to have as much of the problems straight away here. But some passive person who's afraid to do it themselves and still taking part in it themselves, yeah, that's anyways, the CIA are letters. CIA are letters, not words. Powerless. Nonsense. Not again, no matter how much you say stuff like this, it doesn't make it true. Stupid adverts waste my time. Yeah, just when you figure out how to get them to stop, you've got another one. I was trying to find a clip of a show to get a graphic from it and comment on that graphic, but the advertisements kept popping up, and installing the thing, it was flowing fine when there was no advertisements, but and then you restart and then you have to watch all the advertisements over again. It wasn't fair. I believe that the Jewish people are God's chosen. Now, if there are over 200 verses that condemn modern Zionism in just the portion that derives from the Jewish portion, wouldn't that mean that the one or two verses make the most sense to be the thing thrown in there by... But particularly when you're talking about the, I want to identify the Jews as people who identify ethnically as Jews, religiously as Jews, all those people. Well, secular or not, that's one of the interesting things. Most faiths don't have a secular branch. You have fundamentalist, you have liberal, reform, conservative, but secular, you wouldn't even be considered it. I mean, if you completely give up your salat, you can't even be buried as a Muslim. If you commit suicide or involve yourself in a war against the Muslims, people will not bury you. Except the hypocrites, of course, but or the people who... but anyways, 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. Church is not a social club. You were there to find God and keep the holy Sabbath. The biblical Sabbath, there's $1 million reward out, and I perhaps can get the information. Maybe I even have a paper for it. That if anybody can find one verse in the Bible that says the Sabbath is anything except sundown Friday to sunset on Saturday, $1 million. And he's not talking about those antinomial Pauline verses about doing away with the law. But then Paul philosophizes in a new system of law. But the plerose, the refurbishing of the law of Jesus, no, let's not accept that. But anyways, and Jesus, church is not the right word. ecclesia, which takes the whole women shall not talk in church thing to a whole new level. Um, Definitely a sexist thing to say that women should have no say outside of, you know, family gatherings, because any public or you would call political community, they would have no say. Now, there may be limits for each gender of what they should do socially, but, that's perhaps going too far. So Jesus was calling for something different. And what? Is God lost? Donald, no one wants to be another Hitler. Oh, no one wants another Hitler, not even Satan. Well, people are unique. But if we're talking about the support of the workers or some sort of artistic and defensive vision for America, that's not all bad. You can do some good stuff with that. But I'm honestly not of the opinion that he's racist. I've looked at Don Lemon's list of 10 things, and if anything, it proves that he's not racist. But and whether he is or isn't, he's not enacting policies as such, and is benefiting the what people call the colored community more than a lot of people. So it's so I don't think that he's going to be another Hitler. I don't think that he's trying to stop another Hitler. It's a little bit different. A war over slavery. Okay, it fits that these term. So, a war over slavery. It's not the Civil War of this country. It was really a bit different. And Abraham Lincoln kind of, it was more about, well, you can't have slaves. So before it wasn't quite about that. And he didn't want to make you didn't want to make the blacks equal at that point. And so there's some issues there, but that's for something else. And again, blood and soil I don't support, so racism is off the thing. His birthday, December 1st, 1976. And if your birthday is December 1st, 1976, go ahead, mention it. That's a important thing. Oh, 49th year. Yes, things are coming up for people. Beyond the Milky Way galaxy, New England Patriots, New Orleans Saints. Fake Jews are not from Jupiter. Well, the real ones aren't either, but Jupiter, Jove, Jehovah, well, Yahweh. Jehovah is not that's a mispronunciation and all sorts of, there's no J sounds. None of the names in here are J sounds, except the commentary ones, obviously. The commentator. Okay, religious fanaticism and ruin as a result of the resultant excess. So the gluttony society has both caused extremes on the left and the right of this. And again, liberal, conservative, I'm not talking politics, I'm talking about how a person believes and acts. The soul of Alex Jones is getting deleted out of existence. See, we had to say something crazy about Alex Jones. That Alex Jones is going to come up in the middle of this. Rosh Kadesh, celebrated 11 times a year. Yom Teruah coincide. Literally burns red-haired witches alive. Now, whether or not you agree with the Satanist, we should protect their freedoms to believe and, to some extent, practice what they want. Now, there is criminal and perverted Satanism. I have talked about that. That's a real thing. But, again, caution. When moving from one place to another, danger. Vuxas vrah yuk navars, or is it DKVXUSRUHYKNNUVA, either R or N, I'm guessing R, S. And what is that, Swedish or something like that? Not to execute one guilty of a capital offense before he has stood his trial. I do support the death penalty. Let's not pretend that I don't support the death penalty for certain offenses, or maybe even a certain level of certain offenses. I mean, a certain amount of certain offenses done. It's like, don't put someone in jail for 50 years. Let's just take care of the guy. But people should stand their trial. We shouldn't leave it to the criminal system for, oh, they're going to execute people in prison. They're going to kill people in prison. Whether they deserve it or not, it's better that, and an innocent person who has killed somebody who should have been executed. That's, again, let's hold back on our vigilante justices. Electromagnetic frequencies and Hertz power. My job is to bring you down. You got to have negative and positive, and choose. Direct the oracle. Don't just fortune tell and consult things and find something that say, oh, it's getting that dark and venom river called the Styx. This site is getting slower and slower. We can dance if we want to, and I don't know if that's the phrase, but as with the rest of my videos, I definitely want to hear what people have to say. If I get too many comments, I won't be able to comment back on everything, but again, it will be beneficial for your own personal knowledge and experience, your other things that you have thought up to connect to these. And let's scan through these again.